that's less
All right.
that's less of a
We can
problem
fix
to just
the
edit the
rest.
pictures we're talking about. If you
Yeah.
remember, oh yeah, at that point we're looking at this one. At that point, we haven't gone through too much.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Welcome, you guys, to the
Interesting.
beginning of the video recording.
Oh no.
That's so
For
crazy.
the next
Okay,
time, we're gonna make
hi.
a post-it
I'm
with all
sorry.
this. It's okay.
Yes, I like my brain is fried. Do you know what I was up to yesterday? Yesterday I streamed for 8 hours, non-stop. So I'm so sorry, everybody.
We'll
It's
fix
not a
it out.
problem.
It's okay. We have the sound. It's good.
All right, we do have the sound. Let's go. So let's look
So yeah,
at,
actually, I wanted just to mention about this particular photo that, you know, if you would put this photo on the Discord,
yeah.
you know, without out of context, you know, people will tell you, why did you cut the feet? Why is it tilted? Why is there a black thing on the left side that doesn't add anything to the picture? Like, if you isolate this picture and you just analyze it for what it is, you might find a lot of flaws in it, right? But as Cedric was saying, it is much more about the context around it, and that he really purposefully,
Yeah.
you know what I want to say, made that image, right? So yeah, like Cedric was saying, if you are gonna break it, don't just scratch it, crush it, so we can really know that it was broken, that the rules were broken, and you wanted to see to us seeing it like that, kind of.
I don't know what you guys talking about. I see all the rules in this image. This image is a perfect example.
I mean, there.
I don't like the cut limbs.
Yeah, I mean,
that's something that I'm just like, but yeah, but then
I think
yeah, I know you had the space to put them if you wanted.
If he wanted, but he didn't want to.
Yeah, I think this
maybe.
shows something very important. And at least Bresson's idea of a photo. This photographer talked a lot about the decisive moment.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people will tell you, yeah, this is just for him to make like his work seem better or bigger or give it an additional meaning. And it might be. I like to be a believer in this case. And I think that sometimes capturing the moment is more important than capturing the feet in this case.
Yeah.
For example.
Mm-hmm.
Especially that it's not a prepared photo. Especially that it's a journalist photo.
Instant moment.
Yeah, so he's trying to capture the moment of this kid running around with their hand on the wall. You know, and the wall is very nice. I think this wall kind of splits the image into thirds still. Mm-hmm. It's not a perfect third at the lower half, but you can interpret it. It's just, it pulls you in because of the break in the contrast between the clothing of the child.
That's the color, yeah?
What
color?
The tone.
The tone.
And the background that is black. So, and you have this expression like, what's going on with this kid? I don't even know.
Is he happy? He's not happy. You don't really know.
It's a photo that makes you want to keep looking at it for a little bit.
And understand. Yeah.
So I think it's important to mention those elements rather than, because I think this is what's important. I wanted to talk about this one. This one could have been easily fixed in post when Cedric is
cropping,
talking about this much headroom. I don't know. I think the fact that they're positioned like that, it makes it more eerie, more uneasy. Look at their faces. Like, who are these people?
It is definitely a little bit unsettling.
Right? It's a weird angle.
It's a weird angle. It's like upside down. They both have the same hand. Like, you know, there's rhythm, there's repetition in it. Both with the same position. Both with this expression that is even like worrisome. What is it happening there? How are they feeling? You know, like I find it a very good picture, this picture. Even with the headroom.
because to me it looks like, I mean, they don't look like short people.
Mm-mm.
And it feels like I'm coming down a staircase. Mm-hmm. And they're looking at me with very much disappointment.
Yes.
You know, and there's it's eerie. it puts me somewhere. And again, I might have not considered this image if it didn't say Henri Cartier-Bresson on the top. This is very important to mention. I might have just slipped over it. I might have taken this photo and threw it out. I mean, I don't know who these people are.
Mm-mm.
They could be the important factor in this photo. Who are they? Maybe they're the nicest people in the world, and I've been calling them creepy all day.
Maybe something very dramatic happened in their lives. Yeah, we really don't
But
know.
what is the I think this, like the hand of this man is cut off, the elbow over there.
Yeah.
I think what's important to take away from this image, rather than I was just rambling, I think there's an important takeaway here. The fact that this photo was taken by this man has something to do for the fact that we're talking about it, but the fact that this man decided to select this photo
Mm-hmm.
as well to share it with us, and the fact that we have it, has something to teach us about how critical we are with our own work.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
All right.
Someone was mentioning in the chat that maybe they feel short because it was taken in large format. I don't really
I
think
highly
so.
doubt
I
that
doubt
it was
it.
a large
No.
format, because, well, I can see I can see that this image is not cropped,
Mm-hmm.
unless it's a print and they kept they intentionally printed a black
Framing, yeah.
framing. But I highly doubt it, because this photographer shot mostly with a 35 millimeter,
Mm.
and that's the ratio of the
Yeah,
image.
exactly. It's not a 4x5 or 8x10, which are large format. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
And
even
the being large format wouldn't necessarily make it higher. Like, you can lower down your camera. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to be high up. He was on a staircase or standing on a stool
Mm-hmm.
or something. That's my guess.
Yeah, it feels to me like that. Like, I have the feeling, that maybe someone is coming into our room through a staircase and they are in not the best situation and they just like moved around, look, and
They're
the
waiting
photo was
for
taken.
you.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you're being ambushed. and these things with these two images that we can definitely criticize. And I think if it were someone else who showed the exact same picture, someone who doesn't have a name, I think you'd get harsher criticism for some of these framings. That like photography students come with this, and some teacher might say, yeah, no, what are you doing? But then it takes looking past some of that to see that there is a real connection with the subject. And as you said, it's eerie, it's creepy, and so that really shows that if you know what you're doing, you can justify a lot of things through the emotion that the images create. But I feel it's something that a lot of beginners will tend to do, is to be like a bit defensive when they receive advice or comments, and it will be felt like invalidating. But that's not the point. Like, you have to learn to do it yourself, as you said, to your own pictures. You have to be critical of your own pictures. And the first 3 to 5 years of being serious into photography it's where you're most fragile in relationship with what you produce. And here Cartier-Bresson was just like it's just it doesn't care what we think. It's just showing it. It's just like here what it is, and take it or leave it.
And and even with that, like, I am a big fan of his work, and if I had to make a list of like my favorite photos that he took, this photo wouldn't even make the list.
No, of course not.
Like, I know I was defending it earlier, but I was defending it not because I was defending this particular photo. I was defending sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's okay. It's more important to get, maybe I think, let's imagine that I don't know, I really need to have some context with this photo, but I have imagination. That's all I have. And that's what I'm working with here. Let's imagine that this photo, these people are of significance at the time, and this is a funeral of somebody who's related to them, who was also of bigger significance. And Henri went into this funeral This is the first photo that he snapped.
This is what I thought.
And then he shot 25 photos after it that were better composed with zero emotions.
Yeah.
And then that's why he decided to publish this one.
Mm-hmm.
That is the right thing to do in that case.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to make the difference between I'm just going to post this one because that's all I have and I didn't think about my work is completely different to saying, okay, I showed all of this and this one creates the most amount of emotion and it's really strong for this and this reason, so I will overlook the flaws and just use it. It's two different things. And it's something that you have to learn to do as you progress through the years.
Yep.
Yeah, I was actually asking if this was composed purposefully or it was a candid photography. We don't really know. We don't have
Most
the
probably
answer.
candid.
But I think it's candid. Yeah.
No, like from
Usually.
From his work, you will know that he will just take the photo. He will see something, and that will be the most important thing. The moment, the expression, the placement of one thing. The rest of the photo, it could be tilted. It could be like the wall would be falling or doesn't matter. Chopped off feet, doesn't matter. There's one thing, powerful.
I get it.
Got the image. That was his style.
Yeah.
It's not the end all be all, but it's a style.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as the time goes, and as we are here in the future, the standards have been much higher. That's why a lot of times when people look at old photography, they can like easily dismiss it. Like I've seen this video of like these, I think it was f-stoppers, talking about the work of Ansel Adams, and then they were comparing some of their images that they turned to black and white, where one guy pranks the other two and they have to guess. I mean, honestly, we played the game with them. We were watching. I was being furious when I was watching that video. Hey, you guys suck if you're watching this. But this is my message. It doesn't represent the podcast. It doesn't represent anybody. It's from me personally. And by the way, we were playing with, I think we scored like, I got only 1 or 2 wrong from all the images and they were like clueless. And it's fine. It's fine. Just don't, like, what are you talking about? It's Ansel freaking Adams.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is a more recent photographer. Am I right, Cedric?
Yeah.
And you can see here, like, this is on another level in terms of what we just looked at, even though we were looking at somebody who's considered one of the fathers of, black and white, photojournalism, all that stuff. Look at this photo. It's beautiful. And you have the nice horizon, you have the shapes, you have the rule of odds that we were talking about. We have three bodies of mass, let's call it.
Mm-hmm.
We have a really nice split here in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
We have these two.
3 buckets.
3 buckets, but also the balance of the buckets, right? So this is the main mass. This is the center of attention. And there's another mass here of people, and there's another mass here of people. And the separation comes with the actions that happen. Like, you can dissect this photo. I love this photo. You can dissect it, and so I can keep talking about it forever. This man is not holding any buckets. These two are holding buckets. 3, 2 white, 1 darker.
Dark, yeah.
The people in the back on the other side of the image are all kneeling down. So you see, they are separated and they don't have things in common. It's not that they're just separated. No, there's so much separation.
There is a contrast.
Yes. And I don't think this guy organized any of these people.
No. I wouldn't say so.
Anticipated this photo, and boom, you got that photo. And that is greatness, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. You might be thinking, I don't know.
I think it's a great image too. I really like it. Who took it? What was the name?
Matt Black.
Matt Black.
I don't see
he's
it.
He's a photojournalist.
Okay.
He joined Magnum somewhere between 2010 and 2020. I don't know exactly the date, but he's done a lot of work in the more impoverished parts of California. That's one of the things I think that really put him on the map, and also work in Mexico. And we're a friend of mine. We've discovered this guy like about 10 years ago, but a bit more, 2011, 2012, when he started really getting more attention. And he's been one of my favorite black and white photojournalists since. And yeah,
It's
I,
so
Really
I, I
nice.
have a list of 5 that I really 3, 4, 5 that I really like, and he's one of them. You
Very
can
cool.
find these pictures. These pictures are taken from the Magnum portfolio. So if you go on the Magnum site, you can find the rest of his work.
Nice. And without
Oh,
even reading, you can guess who this is if you're familiar with his work.
yes.
And it's also to me it's also a callback to Cartier-Bresson.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's a
definitely.
very strong
Definitely.
callback to some of Cartier-Bresson's work.
Absolutely.
Steve McCurry.
Yep.
Yay. It's his colors are just like I really liked.
Can you confirm if this is from the old days of Kodachrome or if it was digital
I believe it's
I believe
it's the old ones.
should
I
I
will
believe it's from the color.
I'll tell you the year of
if
this
it
one.
isn't, I think because I think he still works, like he still takes photos nowadays. Yeah, I'm sure he didn't stop. I don't know if he still works as much in photojournalism and travels as much. I don't know so much about his life. But I think his style of the colors is very influenced by the choice of film that he used to make to use, which is Kodachrome for anybody who's wondering. And that film gave
you should definitely go see the documentary. It should be on YouTube or something. The documentary about the last role of Kodachrome, and
Yes.
and it's a super interesting little piece of history, I think.
Definitely.
And all of his photos are basically have these really beautiful punchy colors.
Yes.
And I think if he would still be shooting today, I just assumed that he would try to match the colors, just because it's legendary stuff at this moment. Yeah, at this point of.
I mean, he's still working, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
He works he works mostly with digital now, though. I think.
Yeah,
and
of course, yeah.
He set so much of trends and of standards in to me, like all the National Geographic looks that we have today are you can trace them back to Steve McCurry's way of framing, way of working with color.
All right, guys, I have the information. Yeah. Do you want me to tell you?
Give it to me.
Give it to me, baby.
Is it recent?
So this photo is called Boy Meet Flight. It was taken on, we were all wrong, 2007, and it's a digital image.
I assumed, look, I assumed, I said if he's still shooting digital, he will try to match the Kodak.
And the print is sold for a lot of money, like $10,000, and it's a digital C print on Fujiflex Crystal Archive Super Gloss paper.
Nice. Oh, C print.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting, right? Very nice colors.
C print is a really cool process, which is the image is printed on paper using light rather than ink. So you have light sensitive paper.
Analog printing.
But it's done digitally.
Yeah.
So they have these big printers with LEDs in them. And these LEDs, as the paper passes through the printer, they will beam different colors on the image. And then the paper will go through different chemicals and it will develop into a picture. Kind of like where are the pictures that were here? Kind of like a Polaroid in a way.
Behind you? No?
Yeah. I think if you ever seen the Polaroid where you put your phone on top and it prints out your image, that's basically the same technology.
You know that I just got to know today that there is a machine that prints digital prints into film, digital images into negatives.
Oh. Why would you use that?
I don't know. I just found it because there is a YouTuber that she posted his story on Instagram about it, that she also just found it. And I'm just like, I need to get to know about how they use that and why they use that. But it's a machine that, as you say, it shows light into a negative, so it turns a digital image into a physical image. I think
it's used for like dye transfer stuff.
I don't know. We will research.
Yeah, I know about I know they exist, and they usually put them on big sheets, and then you can use it to do printing, dye transfer.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you
Um,
need to have physical image at some point if you want to do those kind of things with transparencies, right?
Yeah, it's to
Yeah.
make transparencies to do other stuff.
I would like to learn about it
Mhm.
actually.
But yeah, this photo, I really love this photo because it combines a lot of things that we talked
Yeah,
about.
powerful.
So when we talk about the rule of thirds, a lot of times people want to follow the lines, the third lines. I personally feel like a lot of times it's more appropriate to kind of shift. So if we eliminate the boy in this image, if we imagine that the boy doesn't exist, we can look at these three colors or three walls, and they are basically splitting the image into three different sections. This one is bigger, this one is smaller, this one is the smallest.
Yes, very nice, very good ratio, which
Yes.
might be or might not be golden ratio between them.
It might be. And then we can go and do it like this. Now we have the rule of thirds. I might have made it a bit too much
In
to
the
the other
square?
side.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have a rule of thirds. Yeah, it still works.
Still works nicely.
Still works. No problem there. But also, obviously, it works this way. So don't miss the moment if you just want to obsess over the rule of thirds to make sure that these three different planes are falling exactly on the thirds. Actually, by doing it like that, he's kind of putting the mid section on the third.
A third.
But the boy is kind of tilting more towards the center. Here we have another thing happening. We talked about convergence and converging lines. And I mentioned that you have always, you don't always have the vanishing point. This is a great example how you can see those lines without having a vanishing point. You do have the implied vanishing point of this wall is going to be somewhere over there. When the vanishing point of these walls is going to be somewhere over there. So you can have multiple vanishing points in your image. Some lines are going in that direction, some lines are going that direction. If it's like if you're on a crossroad and you, instead of photographing down the street, you turn your vision like 45-degree angle and you photograph the corner of a building with a wide angle lens, you'll have a vanishing point on the left and on the right. So here I think the way the photo is positioned emphasizes those lines. He's not necessarily tilting down too much. He's not necessarily he's not at all tilting up. So, and again, as Cedric mentioned many times, I think all of us we did mention. But none of us think that he consciously like stopped to make all of these decisions. This was on the go, and because of practice, because of repeating it over and over and over, it just becomes a second nature. And then you can capture boy in mid-flight, as this photo is titled.
There are little tricks that you can implement to get to a point where you make it more automatic. You just have to, whenever you frame something, you try to frame it as fast as you can, and then you can move a bit around and see, does this work? Does this work? Does this work? Okay. And try to adjust and find where you find it the most pleasing. And the more you do something very the least amount of thoughts possible, and you just put the camera like this and go, okay, and search until something clicks within your brain and say, okay, that's what I want. And then, here the most important was definitely the moment of the leap. Clearly, but if you want to be able to frame things the very quickly, you can just move a bit around and not try to have the perfect framing right as you put the camera on your eye. Just play a bit, and then click. You know where you want to be.
It also helps if you have your focus preset as well, like you work with some focusing, so you basically have your lens step down and everything between 3 meters and 10 meters is going to be in focus, so you remove that from having to put it in the equation. You only work in your composition as well.
Exactly. Like, this is a very good advice, actually. A lot of people obsess over shallow depth of field. You don't need it to make great images.
Definitely
In
not.
most cases, as long as it's in focus and your
Yeah.
composition is
Yeah,
tight.
especially for frame like this one, the way that it has depth in it, already it's
Yeah.
inbuilt. You don't need to have a shallow depth of field in order to create that movement that we're seeing here.
Like everything is in focus. From this wall where he was basically, this looks like a 24 millimeter or 28, 24.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, everything is, this is basically right next to him where he's standing, and you can see it's in focus, and it goes all the way there. What I was going to say, continuing on your advice, Cedric, is that remember, move the camera around and change levels. If you want to shoot something lower to the ground, don't always point your camera down on it. Crouch. It really helps if you're really tall, because you get extra viewpoints. Like you have so much, like if you're like 190 meters tall.
Tell me about it.
You know, you have so much.
You
so
see
much
the world different.
Yeah.
It's so different.
And then you can crouch down all the way to the floor, so you can cover all that range.
No,
so
like
if you're
me,
tall,
and I have to go with the little step up everywhere if I want to be tall.
And in video, it's also being on the same level. But for instance, like when you're doing an interview or shooting kids or something, when you have to be on the people's level, because you're implying stuff. In photography, you might want to imply this, so you want to take some liberty, but it's also valid in photography. If you're shooting someone from above, you're implying that they're weaker, more fragile, and if that's the basic way of framing. If you're shooting someone from under to above, you're making them more powerful and they take more space and they're more dominant. So you have to play with these things, definitely. And also another thing that's in the same idea is when you frame something and put imagine you have in your mind the rule of thirds for some reason, and you want to try to put one element on the upper third and then check, what if I put it on the bottom third or the opposite? And so while you do this, it's exactly doing this. It's what sticks? What do I want to have? And you check all the possibilities and you find the one that's most pleasing, and you have to learn to do it as fast as you can. If you don't know what you want, of course.
Good advice.
Let's see, what do we have here?
Vanishing points.
Yes. This is a really cool one.
The colors are so...
The interesting thing, we talked earlier about tonality and how it affects your photos. And I think this is a great example of, even when you're shooting color, you're seeing it in terms of black and white. So this photo, if you make it black and white, it will make a really good black and white photo.
Definitely.
Because light is a main subject in this photo. You have a very strong highlight in the background, definitely clipping here. And then here you have the shadow play. The shadows in this particular picture are a big element of composition. And we have our diagonals all over the place. We didn't... I wanted to show this one. I think it was... where was it?
Is it the...
What am I looking at here? I think it was this one.
Oh, that's not it. I really like that one.
Oh, don't look. Where is the diagonals? There. Sorry. So here you can see like a craziness of diagonals. And these, you can get lost in them.
It has the meninas from Velázquez there as well.
There's a lot of paintings.
Ooh.
You can see that how these projecting lines, so they're not just the Baroque that we mentioned. The Baroque exists in this one. It's this line over here and this one here. This, it creates a 90-degree angle. The same one exists over here. But then you have other ones. So you can take from the center of the image to the center of the image to the center.
I mean, it's...
And then you can just keep connecting it.
It's crazy. I wonder how much they thought about it.
Then it's not about planning it. It's about what makes it fit.
Yeah.
Without even necessarily aligning it. And I have to mention, when I say try to make it line up with these lines, it doesn't necessarily have to fall on the line.
Yeah.
it can be parallel to the line.
Yeah, it could be
So
moving a plane.
So the line that is parallel, let's say, to your baroque, for example, instead of being, and that's not the,
That's
is
not
it?
it.
It is. It is.
Yeah, that one. There.
Yeah, it's coming from here. So instead of falling here,
Mm-hmm.
it could be falling here, which is where it is exactly.
Yeah, that
You
one.
know, it could be like this one is parallel. You can
The
see.
arms of the guy.
Yeah.
standing
And
up.
then you can play a lot with it. Here, this is a mess. You can use them as framing
Mm.
tools, like subframing. Again, these are messy. I don't necessarily see how they work. Here you can see like this one is falling to this point and then continuing down this way. There are a lot of things. Again, you're not gonna frame in the moment according to this. Although I used to be a fan of this guy who would print these lines on a transparency that would fit his viewfinder and then stick it down there. So because all of us have like a grid on our camera, then we can see the rule of thirds. You can potentially use these as a framing tool. Pick one that you like, that you want to practice with. Print it on a piece of transparency. You can buy transparency sheets, put them in the printer like normal paper. Make sure its size fits to your viewfinder and just stick it in there. And then you can see. So here, for example, you can see like only small parts of the composition line up
Are used. Yeah.
with these lines. And here, if we overlay, this is a great example where it's strong, where it's a big part of the composition, the diagonal symmetry that we were talking about earlier, and we saw some examples of. Of course, in addition to tonality, we have rhythm as well. We have nice separation. We can pull out so many things. Again, rhythm is like, they have the windows, you have people. It's repeating. It's a repeating pattern. And the vanishing point. And it makes a more powerful image, I really like, what I really like? I really like, my favorite thing about this image is the newspaper. This part.
Yeah.
Is the protagonist in a sense
Yes.
of the image.
And this is a really cool trick if you're into street photography. Read light. Anticipate light. See where it's falling and create contrast. Aim for contrast. Knowing that this subject will be dark because they're back illuminated while holding a transparent subject. I mean, this is really, really masterful work in my opinion. As someone who hunts for contrast, like when I'm walking around, I almost always like look where the sun is falling through between the buildings. And sometimes I would just stand there. I will stand there and wait for somebody, like let's say, she saw the other day, I was waiting for somebody with like, I wanted somebody with a red or blue top to come by. Not just somebody. No, I want somebody with these colors.
I also did that recently. You saw the photo next to the supermarket that had red lines, and you were buying in the supermarket, and I was like, okay, maybe someone comes up that has a red jacket, so I can put line it here with this. And it happened, actually.
You'll be surprised how many times what you're waiting for happens. Just stand there and look, okay, so these are the colors, would be perfect with a red jacket or a blue jacket or
you
whatever.
also said, like, I'm waiting here for a bird to pass by. I remember once you were taking that photo, I was like, okay, we just wait. And I was like, maybe.
And then we were so cold and the bird never came. Spoiler. But a lot of times it happens. Like whatever I'm waiting for happens. And you just stand there for like 5 minutes.
It's nice. It calms you down. It slows you down. It centers you in what you're doing. Maybe while you're waiting, you see something also interesting. You think about the possibilities.
And you have time to do as Cedric advises, to move the camera around. Maybe like, okay, you notice the nice colors. You notice the nice light. Okay, now you're waiting for a subject to fall into the light. Move your camera around. Find the perfect composition. And then you found it. Hunt. Sit there. Wait for your deer or for whatever you're hunting, and boom, you got the image.
So beautiful. And this one is also very popular. I do believe this one was done in Kodachrome.
This
one was.
That one, yes.
This is, I think this is a very good example of what you mentioned earlier, that the style of Steve McCurry became the style of National Geographic photojournalism type. These kind of shots is were popularized by him, and we see
I mean,
them
the
all over the
photo of the
place.
Afghan girl with the
Mhm.
blue eyes,
Yeah.
which is
Y-
is the most iconic National Geographic cover of this century, I would say, almost. And that was one of his work. And then they did a revisit because they went to look for her 30 years after, I think, and they took her.
20, yeah, it's something
They
like that. I
they
remember
took
seeing the.
they took her portrait again when she was older. This is iconic National Geographic.
Yeah.
Beautiful contrast of red brick color with her eye color and the
And you can
background,
see
and
that
it's just
she has some green in her,
it's so good.
under, like, whatever she's wearing under this thing,
Hmm.
her shirt, I'm assuming.
She was a kid back then. I think she was like 12 or something.
Mhm. Is that the same woman?
Yeah, I believe so. They went
Yeah.
back to look for her. Yep. Very interesting.
Another one. He did a lot of those. Like, we saw the Afghan girl, we saw this guy, and again this guy.
He is
He really set the trend for type of specific type of pictures.
Mhm.
very
And,
contrasty for portraits, because generally it's not very pleasant to put a lot of contrast
You want to
in.
hide it.
You
You
kind
want to
of hide the texture and
details, the
stuff.
texture.
But he's like, it's raw. It's like I'm showing what it is, and I'm even highlighting it, right? In
Mhm.
a sense.
You could turn this to black and white right here, right now. It
Mhm.
would be edited like, yeah, you wouldn't have anything to do with it. This is
Ready.
really the black and white type.
Can I edit in this
Yeah.
program? I don't think so.
I'm not sure. Are you in preview?
I'm in preview.
If you go to the toolbar,
Adjust color. And then I can take the saturation
hold on. Yeah.
and drop it all the way down. Boom. There you go.
So good. Yeah.
This one, I
Yeah,
love
so
this one.
Very nice.
Again, here we have a lot of things applied.
Mm-hmm.
We do have the vanishing point, and that is not so obvious, but it is there. The vanishing point is going to be somewhere outside the frame. You don't see my cursor. I was pointing outside. So it's going to be somewhere there.
Mm-hmm.
And you have rhythm. You have what was the last one of that article we were looking at? I forgot the name, but it's like the unusual.
The unusual.
There's a person running on the wall.
Yeah.
You have a lot of nice separation. There is not overlapping in the groups.
Mm-hmm.
So like this person is not covering this group, even though this group, this guy is covering that guy, but it's a unit. That group is now a unit, so it's a different body. If you think, like when I was using the example of the spheres,
Mm-hmm.
this is a different body than this body, than this body, than this body.
Yeah.
You have,
And with it that you have 5 and 1 and 1. The
Mhm.
odds. Yeah.
You can also like imagine a triangle here. So like you can isolate this one as a group. I mean, if this person was running on the wall there,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would be. It would still be crazy and really interesting, but I think it's more powerful that this person is running here. This one is
Yeah, each group is doing something completely different, and they're almost not paying attention. They're not paying attention to any other element that adds a lot. Like the guy is stretching, the guys who are sitting are talking and not minding the guy running over. So it has this humorous side to it too that
As well, yeah.
reinforces the feeling.
I was checking also what kind of camera was this taken with, if I can find.
yeah. Let us know.
Is it on Kodachrome, this one,
I don't know.
or is
I
it more
don't know.
recent?
That's the thing.
I think this to me looks like. Hold on, let me see.
No, it's 2004. I already tell you.
It's digital.
It's Nikon
Yeah.
for sure. He only
yeah.
worked with Nikon since 75.
He knows what's up. Steve McCurry
That's
knows
why
what's
I
up.
like him.
Yeah.
We always end up talking about gear. Stop it.
No, I'm not. I'm just memeing.
It's a joke.
Yeah. I mine too.
I'm gonna have a snack.
All right. Which one is it? Oh, that's this one also a really, really powerful one. I believe that he was on a taxi or something. I think I read a story about this one. It's
You can't see on the screen, but the texture in the in the droplets on the window and the
that's the focus actually are the droplets, right? I believe so.
yeah,
And the fact that
it's
it's still a
incredible.
color photo, it's like almost a selective color photo, which it really doesn't work. But in this case, because the whole image is so toned down and so neutral, and then you have this pop of color there with her dressing, is just very powerful. And of course the composition as well. Yeah, and the hand that's in focus, right? Yeah.
The hand looks to me like it's breaching through a portal.
Yeah.
It
I mean,
looks like
now that you pointed at it and I'm isolating it, it's yeah.
it looks like
And it's
it's
soft.
inside the car.
It's not applying pressure. It's the hand itself is asking something. It's the way it's positioned, and it's a gentle gesture.
Yes.
It's very powerful.
Masterful work indeed.
So many Steve McCurry photos.
I only took the time to go through, and I thought, and my first thought is like, who would go to if I wanted to show really strong and very effective composition and balance, but not only in composition, but also the use of color. And I think Steve McCurry was the first answer that came through my mind. Okay, yeah, let's go there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've been talking so much. I'm leaving room for you guys. Why are you staying quiet? This is a podcast. Come on, be professional.
Yeah, I mean, what is else to say here? I mean, we're seeing strong examples of very good work on leading lines and converging points and vanishing points as well. It's a bit similar to the one in the train station that we saw, and it's also from a train station. And I guess that he just sees the elements in front of him. You know, here you have this building with the three tops, and then you have the three trains. You know, like it happens. Yeah, it happens. It's in front. It's there. You know, you're not making it. So the work on us is to be able to identify it and show it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Do you have any other examples that you want to look up?
Of particular compositions?
We've been looking at a lot recently. We should have a lot of fresh in our head. I can't think of anything in color though.
In color?
Yeah.
What kind of composition?
Strong, powerful compositions that we can look at and study that are not black and white.
I don't have anything now like on the top of my head like that. This one is Steve McCurry as well, but it's like a central composition. This one is really, really
beautiful.
Good. You can look for it.
What is it called?
It's called Dust Storm.
Dust Storm. Steve McCurry. This one is beautiful.
Maybe if you click it, it will open in another. Not so sure. Yeah, you can see it there. Yeah, and this is an example of a center-weighted composition, which is, we have not really seen so many of them, but it's just there in the middle. And then, of course, you have the elements in the foreground, which are these. Even, like, sometimes when I look at this picture, I'm like, because I would expect, you know, these ceramic pieces, they are, like, facing us, which is like a weird position in the ground, in a sense. And then you have the foreground elements or the background elements, which are the trees as well. And the way that they just become this unit, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 women all together there looking at each other, protecting from the sandstorm coming. It's really powerful. And of course, here we go again with the color part of the composition as well. And this is something that he has worked a lot because he has been traveling to places where color is very important. And maybe in other places you are not going to be able to have these very strong colors in the same way.
Of course.
But he just like saw it. And I don't know how much there is also, of course, when you produce after, if you bring down the saturation in some part of the area and not in others, which is common commonly done, that also it's part of you creating the composition that is gonna be more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Absolutely.
something that you can see with this image, the one, is that all the elements, there is little unpleasant overlap. There's nothing that goes like, there's not one element that's out of place and taking away from the experience of looking at the pictures. The pots are not coming hiding one of the feet, for instance. The pots are on one third, on the lower on the lower part of the right third, while the main tree is on the left third, and the tree line creates a diagonal towards the center, and then it goes away to the side, and there's nothing. If I look, and it's something that's really important. A first skill when doing composition as a beginner is minding what's going on around the frame. And on all these pictures of him, and many others, of course, but you can make your eyes wander around the edge of the frame, and you won't see anything that's disturbing. You won't see anything that comes protrudes and takes your attention away. It's and that's something that anyone can start minding. If you start just whatever composition you're doing, even if you're breaking rules or anything, if you start minding, okay, what's on the edge of my framing, you can really make your any type of framing go one rank up. You can go from something that's a bit bad, it's okay, it's a bit average, and something that's average, okay, it's above average. And it's the addition of a few details and more details that will make a picture great. But all of this is something that's done completely unconsciously. Like, yeah, you think about it, you think about it, but you just do it automatically. It's the thought doesn't linger. It's just, I need to do this. And your body just does it because you know what you want to get. And if you want to start minding your composition, I think minding the edge is a really good place to start.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's I really love this one that you're showing now here with the shadows, playing with the shadows and the.
I went to this as you were talking about that, because I also wanted to show sometimes where subject separation and minding the edges might be, because
overruled.
Again,
Yeah.
a big theme of this, that rules are meant to be broken, right? And I think you agree with that, Cedric.
Absolutely.
And I agree with you 100%. The way that I shoot, I always I'm very obsessive about, no, I don't want this to overlap that, you know. But here we can see, and I think it was Brian, that mentioned in the chat that story comes first before composition. And I think some of these photos by Joel Meyerowitz. So bad. The name is hard, man. Here we see a nice separation, but I don't think it was most probably accidental.
Of course.
It's he didn't really hunt for it as much. He noticed it. There's a lot of elements here, kind of in the foreground. We talked about the rule of odds. He doesn't care about that either. He likes the balance in this photo. You have two poles parallel to each other, two on each side, and then chaos in the background. And you will see, Joel, here another example. I was mentioning earlier that sometimes you don't fix the horizon. And I think for whatever reason, he decided not to fix the horizon. A lot of his shots are tilted, actually.
I think a lot of his shots, they invoke chaos in a sense.
Yes,
it's things are moving. It's chaotic. That's the status of that particular moment.
There's a lot of things going on in this photo that are, to him at least, to his artistic choice, were more important than having straight horizon. He kind of wanted to keep it tilted to maybe add to this to the feeling of the street.
fully
I think
conscious choice.
I think I think if you these type of images, like it's about which details are dear to you,
Mm-hmm.
which details of what type of rules you choose to, okay, this is my style, this is working for me, and then you will just ignore. You can't just follow everything, then it becomes a nightmare. So clearly I see when I see these pictures, I see what was going on through the mind and what he saw, what made him release, and I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, okay, and all those rules, all the separation is there, the rhythm is there, and he chose, okay, I'm gonna be all about the rhythm, the moment, and it's gonna be a bit of luck that I'm here at the good time, but I'm gonna, a bit like Cartier-Bresson, I'm gonna train myself to just seize the moment when it's right, and the details I won't care about it too much. And there are photographers who are like, okay, something is happening, but I want those details to be perfect too. I want my frame to be perfect. I want my thing to be perfect, but I think the process is going to be this more or less the same. They're going to do it at the same speed, because you're doing it more and more and more, and the things that you care about are just going to be as internalized as if you had chosen other details to focus on or to obsess over. And it just become part of how you release and when you release, and that's why it's interesting to go out on a day trip with other photographers, because when we come back and share what we've done, we can see that none of us saw the same things at all. And that's super interesting.
This one is suffering from a big case of nose room. Not enough nose room at all. But I think like.
But there's the shadows.
Yeah, but I think in this one it makes sense. Like it's like there's something there, and this woman is fleeing the scene. You know, there's a lot of. It's beautiful. Like these three lines that are coming, gorgeous.
It's like it's like the woman there, and the guy who's the guy who's sleeping. They're at the same distance to the opposite edges. They're very close to the edges, so they kind of answer to each other in the making of the balance. So it really becomes like a painting, but a moving painting. They say, okay, this is my painting, and I just one brush of 1/60th of a second, maybe, just paints the whole thing.
Yeah. Chaos. There's a baby in this box.
Is that a real baby?
I don't know. It looks like it.
This photo is so crazy.
It's
this is so great.
A fair or something.
Yeah.
I love this one. Oh, it's so good. This is my kind of thing. I really like it. Yeah, we didn't see this one last time we checked the website.
Mirror and the aversion, the rhythm. Yeah.
Like three.
This
the guys. It's crazy. It's like oh, I love it. It's so good. And the yellow, the color as well. You know, like it's perfect. It's so good.
This photographer was one of the first photographers to shoot street with color. By the way. This is old work. I don't know. They're not.
And he has this very soft, creamy type of colors too. That are like it's
the opposite of Steve
McQuarrie. 70s, 80s. I think this photo because of the clothing.
In one interview, he tells a story where he met Cartier-Bresson
in the streets in New York,
and they didn't know who he was. He was out with his friend in New York. They were taking photos, and they saw this man. He seemed like European, and he was
with a fedora
and a jacket with a high, what do you call it, like a collar
a
or
trench,
trench.
And a red scarf or something.
Yeah, and then he was like, they went to him and they saw him like, ba-boom, with two Leicas, and he's like looking around, knowing exactly where to point his camera and how to trigger the shutter. And then they approached him, hey, sir, are you a professional photographer? I shouldn't tell the story. It's his story.
I know.
I don't know. You can watch it, but it's so cool. Bresson invited him to have coffee and told him a lot of things. And then
it's a priceless thing.
I think that has to do something with these photos.
But I mean, look at that. The three people walking, the other. I don't know. Like.
I mean, as I'm saying, there's luck
And
But there's
you have to see the
you
luck.
have to take advantage
You
of
have
it.
to see the luck.
You
Yeah,
have
of
to take
course.
advantage. You have to be ready to take advantage of it.
It's so good.
What is going on here?
There's a horse in distress.
And this one again, we have
Oh, this sucks.
a lot of nice balance.
Uh, Crazy wedding photo with all.
Crazy. I don't know what's going on. This guy is wearing socks. He's not even putting his shoes on. There's a woman in a wedding dress. There's a picnic in the back. I love the chaos of Belarus.
It's almost like on the level of Martin Parr. Like the type of fun with things. Oh, he's also a very interesting photographer to look
I
at
was actually
for his color work.
We are looking it for tomorrow.
Really?
Yes.
All right. It's you can see I have nothing to do with preparation, and
we didn't.
I'm supposed to be like
You are the technical
guy,
guy.
and I forgot to record.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, guys. I think I'm going through a rough patch, but I will become better. I promise.
We just need to
It's
make
okay,
some post-its.
We can just edit in the images we were talking about, and it's going to be fine.
Yeah,
no problem.
Don't
worry.
We can have like how do I look at the galleries?
That guy looks like
Intro, recent.
that guy looks
books,
a lot.
Films, blogs, archive. I think.
Those are books. Oh?
CV.
Tier sheets, exhibitions, objects, posters.
I have a little planet here.
The Queen. He's British, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I love his work on tourism. I'm just.
I'm gonna take us back to the big view.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, I mean Joel's work is really good color work and color strength in the compositions. Very, very interesting. I don't remember seeing those ones we saw today last time.
We looked at so many, and it was.
No, very good. But okay, so if we kind of summarize a little bit what we've been talking over this time, I don't know how long we've been talking about composition.
A long time, I think.
Two and a half hours.
Really?
But
no,
that's the kind.
You're joking.
I'm not joking. That's the kind of Martin Parr type of thing, and he always uses a flash to kind of to bring some light up and really make this. It's almost like the postcard aesthetic type of it, and he really goes because he criticizes tourism in these type of makes.
So it's a bit of a comedy, like kind of like how you say parody of it.
There's a kind of parody of reality, and when you see the images, I really like the second degree, and also it's first degree. It's always first degree, but there's the implied second degree that's very interesting. It's a really fun photographer for that respect.
Cool, really nice. Yeah, so I was trying to see if we can have some.
Anybody keeping track of the chat? Did
you have
any questions?
No questions. The last comments were about kind of a bit like unrelated. Someone was commenting according to color theory, if you turn temperature up, it increases lightness of the picture, and if you turn the temperature down, it will make the picture darker. And yeah, that's a known feature of temperature, so that's why in the workflow you generally adjust temperature first, and then you will adjust your brightness on the image, so you don't get into a bit of unwanted results after you work with your temperature. That is an intrinsic characteristic of color, that the warmers are brighter.
Yeah.
And then Huno was commenting about how the story is very important. So maybe that's one of the key points of today, is that the story should not be left away or forgotten or not recorded because you're focusing too much in the composition, in a sense. And then, actually, I wanted to ask you both. You already said your composition with the Baroque diagonals is one of your favorites. But Cedric, what is your favorite composition if you had to choose one?
It's very hard, but I think I apply them. I apply what feels right for the right type of image,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to be mindful of that, and just I use rule of thirds a lot in that in that respect, for like classical portraits, like when you do a bust and up type of shots. Um, but I don't. I think I just try to feel, and if it feels right when I'm in pose, and I have to adjust the crop a bit here and there, and I don't think I'm really watching it. I just like the 2/3 two to three ratio. Really
Mm-hmm.
like it a lot for photography, and I think that's what
You mean the
I'm just using
aspect
something
ratio?
that's in there. What?
You mean in the aspect ratio of your
Yeah,
images?
in the aspect
Ah.
ratio, that's something that's really important to me, is to shoot in that ratio, and not start cropping and making different sizes. So that's, I think that's the only thing. Not even composition rules. I think that's one thing that I will be very adamant to respect, is that aspect ratio, and then I will adjust until I feel it clicks.
Mm-hmm.
But I will use like to determine the space between what I need to leave up and leave down. So I will usually use rule of thirds, not as something to adhere to, but
Mm-hmm.
just as a as a meter, just to know where I'm at, more or less. I'm just gonna change and see, okay, I'm more or less there, and it feels better here.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not adhering to them to the letter.
Interesting.
Looking at me, do you want me to tell you something?
I thought you were gonna tell me something.
Well, here's the thing about the rule of thirds. I feel like it's automatic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, for me, if I compose in the rule of third, I didn't compose.
Yeah, it's kind of the default baseline,
Yeah.
so to speak. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense? Like,
It does.
it's just that, you
And
know.
from there, you build up into other things. And
Yeah, it's like, let's say I want to write on a page, and the page has lines. If I just write on the lines, it's equivalent to using the rule of thirds. I didn't do anything there. The lines were there, and I
use them.
put my
Yeah.
words on them, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a nice analogy, I think.
But any other rule, when it's there,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I was drawing on a blank page with no lines.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about it, and because the rule of third is so simple,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not taking away from it. It works, and then you can add stuff to it, So like, if you have a page, you can write a few words, but then nobody's stopping you from
can do
drawing.
that here and
Now you can put a drawing. You can make a page. Like, I wasn't the smartest kid in class, but I've seen the notebooks of the smartest ones. They were so smart that in class they had time to make their notebooks look nice and write with different color pens. I was happy if I took the title of and heard like 5 words the teacher said. But there were other, like my cousin, she was super smart. She became a surgeon. I saw her notebooks. I got depressed for 2 weeks. I used to pride myself on being the creative one, and her notebooks look so great. They look like art to me. They're so colorful and organized, really neat font. She doesn't make mistakes when she types. You know what I'm saying? So you can master the rule of thirds to that point.
yeah.
You can make it interesting. You can make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a long road.
Yeah.
Or you're a phenomenal, or somebody who's very exceptional,
Mm-hmm.
that you can intuitively
Do it.
do
No,
great compositions with the rule of thirds. But for most of us who are normal people or below average, non-legends, I would say that, try different things, try to find your style, explore outside. The rule of thirds is always there. The rule of thirds always got your back. When you fail, rule of thirds, don't worry about it. It's there. It's not going anywhere. Open up the aperture, put your subject on the third, boom, we got a banger. Most people are going to be like, wow, how is the background so blurry? You know?
I think if you're in a position where you begin and you don't have a sense for the rule of thirds yet, maybe put the grid up.
Yeah.
But if you find yourself that you're doing things too much and adhere to it too much, take it off your viewfinder. Put a viewfinder that's completely blank and with nothing in it, and just shoot and let yourself express yourself through the viewfinder that is completely with no guidelines other than what you're seeing in life.
With the Olympus, I put on the X.
X.
There is an X grid.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
They
the
have
Olympus.
different ones,
You have a bunch of different ones that you can switch
What do
between.
I have in mind?
Uh,
I don't even know. I don't even look at these things.
This one is an SLR. You can't change it.
Yeah, but I have nothing. It's blank.
On the Fuji, maybe you can change them because it does have an
Yeah.
EVF.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
electronic.
So anything with an EVF might possibly have that. With an
On
SLR,
the SLR, you can change it. Yeah,
You can?
put.
Some of them.
I think
inside.
if you look at the screen, you can add it. You can change it if you're shooting through the screen.
I mean, my
I think you can
Canon
put the
has
grid in.
has a grid inside the viewfinder.
What?
My Canon has a grid
Yeah.
inside
Can
the
you take it
viewfinder.
off?
No, it's
Mhm.
always
That's what
there.
I'm saying. It's
Mm.
always there.
Yeah, it's always there.
So it's either there or not.
Yeah.
Because
I don't think you
there's
can change it though.
no. That's what I'm saying. If you have a camera with no grid on the viewfinder, as I mentioned earlier, you can buy some like acetate sheets. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, the
Transparent
Yeah,
transparent
sheets.
but
ones.
then
And then you can print on them. So make sure you take the measurement, and then you fix it in some document,
Mhm.
and then you can just print and cut it and stick it.
here I have a viewfinder grid display on and off.
Yeah, I remember I use Nikon as well. I started with Nikon, and
And it's a grid.
It is a grid.
It's not a rule of thirds. It's a complete grid.
Yeah, with many more. So you can actually try to find the lines there if you
yeah.
want.
But again, like the rule of thirds is right there. And another, like we saw some examples, like with Bresson, it was almost there. I think we've seen some other ones. Steve McCurry one, Boy Mid-Flight. He kind of shifted it a little bit, but you can use elements
Mm-hmm.
in your image to create blocks of the thirds. So like, let's say you're looking at a sunset, right? There's a water, there's the line where the sunset is happening, and there's the sky above it.
Mm-hmm.
Use these three blocks, they can be utilized as thirds. I'm looking at the audience. I'm sorry, guys. I know you already know all of this stuff, but maybe somebody will watch it in the future. The Avengers that left with us are, I mean, I know most of you.
Mm-hmm.
I know you already know this stuff, but you know, I think you asked this question, but nobody asked it back to you. What about you? What is your favorite composition?
I mean, I think I really like to play with lines. Like as I said before, like I really like symmetry. That's one of the things I really love. But symmetry that it is brought by lines and how the lines are placed in the composition. I think that's one of the things I like the most. And also like try to find either like parallel lines or perpendicular lines and see how they fall. So I really love like dead on straight photos into a scene and then having the thing come and cut across as well. So these are things I just find it very pleasing and very interesting to
Yeah.
work with. I'm
Yeah.
just checking what I have here at home.
Yeah,
Lines for sure.
they're very. I think I think we talked about this. Like you love the Wes Anderson
Yeah,
movies and stuff.
I really like
it.
Ridley Scott also does very good
Yeah.
with that.
Wes is
Yeah.
obsessed about designing the scenes.
Yeah,
Most of you probably know at least one of his movies, the Budapest
Hotel,
Grand Hotel.
Grand Hotel,
Grand
or
Hotel.
the Darjeeling Limited.
That
Royal
one is my favorite.
Tenenbaums.
If
Darjeeling
you haven't
Limited
seen that
is my
movie, it's
favorite.
such a good movie. It's not just beautiful; it's such a fun movie.
Moonrise Kingdom.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Moonrise Kingdom, the camera work, it's beautiful. Like it's not only about static cinematography, but how the camera moves through that.
The same with the rest of his movies.
Yeah, but this one is like.
Extra.
I mean,
I didn't think it can be even better.
do you agree, Cedric? Have you seen them?
No, I haven't seen
Moonrise
those
Kingdom?
movies, and no, I haven't seen them, but I've heard a lot of them. But I absolutely agree with Ridley Scott, though. Like,
Yeah, no, really Scott also.
but I haven't seen. But as we talked before we started, one of my favorite cinematographers for that type of crazy framing and painting framing is Peter Greenaway.
Peter Greenaway. What has he done?
Peter,
I don't know if I recognize him.
well, he's done. I think the most well-known one he's made is The Pillow Book with Ewan McGregor, and then there's there's one with a very famous French actor in it. That's also that one is a crazy 4-act or 3-act. I don't remember. Like it's paintings, and from one act of the movie to the other, the tone changes, and that's a super long title to that movie. And I think it's in English it's gonna be the thief, the cook, the thief, his wife, and her lover, something like that. It's a super long title. And,
the cook, the thief, his wife, and her lover.
Is it Gerard Depardieu?
The actor?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it's Richard Boranger.
Okay.
And he's done Zoo, 1Z and 2 knots. So Zoo. He's done 8.5 women, and there's a lot of other, like the Belly of the Architect. And basically it's very art house. It's very art house movies. But when you're watching these movies, what you're watching is basically animated paintings. Because it's absolutely crazy. So as a photographer, these movies are an absolute delight.
That's so cool. Well,
they're very powerful too. They're very they go into your belly with a knife, kind of, in type of how powerful they are.
Yeah, I mean from Wes Anderson, cinematography, the choice of colors, how the colors tell a story in every scene. Also, it's very, very good. Acquired Taste. That one rings a bell, actually. No, but this is because of
this is the cook, the thief, her wife, and somebody's lover.
Somebody's lover.
It's a very confusing title, but it's I can see what you mean.
They do look like paintings from the 1600s.
It's like the whole movie is like a theater play. Kind of, you have very few other location that it's one big banquet hall, and you have just maybe a part where it's the restrooms. You have a part where it's the parking or the kitchen entrance, and so it's a very dense and condensed storytelling. But the most famous one, I believe, is The Pillow Book.
Totally limited. Talking about Steve McCurry and India and the Indian colors.
You're gonna love this one if you haven't seen it.
Fun.
Like, look, these are all scenes from the movie. These are actual scenes. These are not posters or photos.
No,
these are like freeze frames. And like this scene, they're sitting there talking to each other. This is how the scene is filmed. Here they're shaving and whatever they're doing, getting ready. This is how it looks like. Here they went somewhere. It's always like this one. A lot of centers. I remember there was a scene actually in this cabin. The filming of this scene, it was insane because the camera basically turns to sets.
That's what it does in Moonrise Kingdom as well.
It's you're looking at a perfectly composed set, and then just pans, boom, another. And it's so everything is exactly where it's supposed to be.
It's so engaging. Like I find with Wes Anderson, I can't really stop looking at the picture, at the movie.
Yeah,
it's like
you can't look away.
It's just like I want to see it all. I want to absorb it all. It's just so nice.
This is a shot of that place. This is not actually, but like here you can see people are breaking it down, how the camera moved there. And there's a mirror somewhere, and there's a window somewhere.
This is so
because
beautiful.
In this shot, you're looking at the three guys while they're in different places in the in the thing. So this scene.
Very recommended. Weekend movie, guys.
You gotta watch this movie. It's beautiful if you haven't seen it, and it's really funny. And like you can see those actors there, you probably know that it's gonna be a fun movie.
Yeah. All right. We actually now are in the next day. Enough for our timeline, of course. Our time zone, sorry. We have hit 12 o'clock. And I think we should see if we're wrapping up.
All right. So thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far,
I mean, there's no need for that.
why? People are gonna watch this somewhere else.
Yeah.
Maybe if they're crazy enough. Like, look, I would do the same thing. This was really fun and engaging, at least for us.
Yeah.
We didn't feel the time passing by. And if you did listen
No,
or
not at
watch,
all.
please join us on the Discord server. The link will be anywhere, whatever you can find links on the platform you're using. So if
Yes.
you're watching on YouTube, check the links in the description. If you're listening to a podcast, check your show notes. I would like to thank my co-hosts today, Eva and Cedric. You guys, so much fun to talk to you about composition. I could go for another 10 hours, but we have to wrap it up at some point. Thank you to everybody who lasted this long.
So what's happening now, Jimmy?
What?
After
Q&A?
we're moving to or people are moving to the stages.
Yes, I really wanted to thank some of the people in the Discord for being with us all the time. Obrameyang, you've been here for a long time. Thank you.
Aubameyang. Yeah.
Nurul, you're the best. Janet, welcome. You showed up late. And segue to the picture. You guys rock. We hope you enjoyed the show. And thank you for everybody who didn't last all the way. Now we are going to jump in to talk to you in the Talks feature in Discord, where you can raise your hand, join the conversation, say whatever you want. So if you're not on Discord, come join us and yell at us if you think we said anything stupid during the podcast. Other than that, thank you all once again for watching. Have a good night. See you next week. Peace.
Bye.
Bye-bye.